Hello everybody, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me at Entrepreneurship. I said yes. So just a little recap. If you guys have not seen the intro video, please feel free to go do that. And it's super funny because in the beginning of that video, I said, hey everybody, I just want to introduce myself. And it's really funny because I never even said my name. So my name is Latrice Drayton. So I definitely wanted to give you guys a proper introduction. Please make sure that you do the same. Go ahead and introduce yourself in the comments and let me know what type of business you guys have right now, like what's the name of your business or what type of business you're thinking about possibly. Let me know a little bit about who you guys are so I know the same. So when I see your names and I see your faces come up on the images, I have a little bit of background about you as well. So as you can tell, these videos are not very rehearsed or practiced at all. Not necessarily something that, I am trying to polish for you guys to put together. It is a real journey with me. So for those of you who didn't see the previous video, entrepreneurship, I said yes, is just a time, a place where we can all come for entrepreneurs, those thinking about going into entrepreneurship, those who recently launched out in entrepreneurship, and those who have been in it for a while, and mentor other upcoming entrepreneurs. You guys kind of get that fresh view of, okay, what are the biggest fears? What are the biggest concerns? What are some things that come up, in real time? For those of you who don't know, I just stepped out in my own business. And when I say just stepped out, it's probably been about a month and a half right now. So that's kind of the timeline that we're looking at for anybody looking at trying to see, okay, where are you at in this journey? Where are you at in this process? That's where I'm at. It's been about a month and a half for me for really stepping out into this journey and stepping out kind of into this new territory. So that's where I'm at. If I seem a bit nervous, if I say a lot in my conversations, all of those things, that's probably why I'm not your polished person at all. However, it is a journey that you can take with me. And I'm sure, and I would hope you do the same as we go through this journey, that I will become more polished, that I will become more comfortable on camera doing things like this. I'll be more comfortable with those networking conversations. I'll be more comfortable just being out amongst people and being vulnerable and subjecting myself to people, their commentary and their opinions. Right? So that is where I'm at right now. Again, my personal company that I have stepped out in is Gideon Property Services for property management. My broker is Todd Sheely with Focus Real Estate Group here in the Alachua County area. So I'm super excited about that as well. So that's who I am. I was previously operations manager. I won't say the name of the company just because it wasn't the best breakup. However, I was previously operations manager with a larger property management company here in the local area. So that's where I am at to date. All right. So what I wanted to talk about with you guys right now, I was going to go into, writing your vision, right? If I could pick a first video and a first instruction to you guys, I was going to choose write your vision. Right? But that's going to be the next video, because this one, I really do feel like before you can write your vision, right? This is something that I struggle with now and really wish that I would have embedded within myself and understood for myself and knew without a shadow of a doubt for myself before going into entrepreneurship, before going into business. And it's very, very simple, but very complex. Right? Here's the thing. Anybody going into entrepreneurship, anybody struggling in entrepreneurship right now, I feel like one of the main things you need to know, one of the main things that I need to know, and the only reason why I'm in front of this camera, is that you have a voice. You have a voice. You have a part to play in all of this. You have a role to play in all of this. You have a voice, right? Regardless of whatever industry it's in, if it's in makeup, clothing design, property management, marketing, advertising, coaching, whatever you guys are getting your hands into, whatever you're coming into, one of the things in the place that I'm at right now is really focusing and really understanding that I have a voice, that there is a space for me within my industry. And that is very, 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 very important. Very important. So one of the things I want to kind of walk you guys through is even my process to coming and making these videos and finding people who would join me in this journey and rising up and saying, wait a minute, something is wrong, enough is enough. Right? Enough is enough. So again, like I told you before, it's been about a month and a half since I've been on this journey, and I've gone through some, a little bit of a roller coaster as far as my thought process and my motivation, right? So some mornings I'll get up and I'm super excited, I'm pumped, I'm ready to knock it out, I'm ready to do anything and everything that it takes to make this happen, right? But then it gets to the end of the day and I have no customer. So then I begin to question, what? Am I really supposed to be in here? Do I have enough to say? Do I have enough to contribute to my industry? Am I enough to be in here? Am I enough to be out here on my own? Right? And I've gone through seasons of that, and I've gone through times of that where it's been a little frustrating. If I could just be completely transparent with you guys, it's been a little frustrating of just kind of going through that, yeah, I got it. And then, oh man, I'm not really sure. So if there's one thing that I can really pass along to anybody and have anybody really come to understand, and if you are a person of faith, get into your word like you have never got into it before, because one thing that you're going to have to understand is that you have a voice. Right? That once you have this thing that's kind of billowing inside of you, and you have this gifting that you can't ignore, when you have this kind of pull on you that you're like, man, I can't seem to shake this, right? And for me, it was years. For some people, it doesn't take you that long to come around, but for me, it was years because I had so many other things going on, right? I was putting time and attention towards, a potential partner, somebody that I thought I was going to be with. I was putting time and attention towards that. I was putting everything I had, 120%, into the employment that I was in. So I had no time to think or build on this thing, but it's still something that I could not shake. So when you have that, you have to realize and you have to understand that it's a reason why you have that, and you have a voice. You have a purpose in all of this. So in between going through all of these mixed emotions and all of these mixed feelings, I go and I'm in one of my seasons, and I'm in my day to day, and I'm like, man, I got this. I showed a property for somebody, for a renter, and it was a friend of mine. So I was super excited about that, because when you make those relational connections, and people in your circle are actually using your services, and they really support you in that, it makes you feel really good. So I was excited, and I'm like, yes, man, I got this. And I made a list of all these other things that I was going to get done. And a part of that is social media. So for anybody who knows me, up until this point, I have not been on social media. I make a post every few months. I look at things here and there. Of course, lately I've been a little more active because they told me that's what I need to do in order to be successful in today's world. So that's what I've been trying to do. But before then, I wasn't on social media like that. So for me, that's not a natural thing. Right? It's not a natural thing to open people up into my world. It's not a natural thing to open people up into my business. It's not a natural thing for me to do that. Now, I can talk services all day with you. I could talk, why you should, paint your house a certain color. I can do that all day long. I can talk market with you all day long. But all of the other things, it's really, really not easy for me to transition into. So one of the things that I had on my list was the social media. Right? And I'm like, yes, I am going to make this post, and it's going to be terrific. right? Because I made a post before, I got a little bit of response, not too much. My sister actually does like my marketing and my advertising. So she does kind of the graphics portion of everything. So I told her this great idea. Facebook does not have very good polls as far as I can see. If anybody knows about Facebook polls and how to provide people with more than 2 options, please let me know, because I need to know that. But other than that, I didn't see how to add anything other than 2 options. So I'm like, oh, I have this great idea. I'm going to get people to interact. I'm going to get their involvement on this post. And it's a great idea to pose a question. We're going to start this thing called Residents Reveal, right? And all this time, I hear all the murmuring from residents and property managers should do this and all that. And I hear all the horror stories from property management and renters and how they feel about it. And I wanted to pose a question to get people to start talking, opening up, have that conversation. And this was going to be the launch into something bigger and greater. And now I will be able to address the concerns of the people. That's what I thought. Right? So I get my sister to make this ad, and she makes it for me. And I make this grand opening, this post, Gideon Property Services presents Residents Reveal, right? And I post this question, and I get about 5 likes, 3 of which were probably my family. My family shared the post, and nobody said anything. Nobody started communicating. Nobody did any of that. And to me, in that one little post, right, it did a couple things for me, right? In that one little post, and I was sitting by I had to literally get up and leave and come to the office. But that one little post did a few things to me, right? Because I was sitting there watching it, and because I was so anxious, and I was sitting there watching it, one of the things that it did is like, oh, well, nobody cares. Nobody cares. So this whole thing that I've just launched my business for, this whole thing that I've just done, nobody cares, right? And it moved from nobody cares to, nobody wants to interact with me. That's what it moved to, right? And on from there, and I'm a person, and just not getting too far in my background, but one of the things that I know that I have to be aware of, just because of the calling of my life and what I'm supposed to be doing, is really, and even just my upbringing and how I felt growing up, is just I don't have a voice, not having a voice, right? So, and that, to me, that's kind of what it always reverts back to. And that's exactly what it did. Now, this is a post where people probably weren't even studying, they probably weren't even studying that post. They're probably getting through 2,000 other posts, whatever the case may be. But to me, I had chalked it up to something different, right? And I got to a spot where it's like, oh, you have no voice. And for me, I am definitely a teacher at heart. Like, you guys, some people just know who they are. You know what your gifts are, you know what your talents are. I am a teacher at heart. I love learning information. I'm a lifelong learner. I love learning information, and I love giving information. I love to teach. So for a teacher to really feel that they have no voice, it's an awful feeling. It's just an awful feeling. And that's what I felt like. And I'm like, man, Lord, what is this? Like, what is this? So I had to do a couple things to kind of come out of that. Right? The first thing that I did was really exactly what I said. Like, Lord, what is this? Where is this coming from? And making sure that I do not accept that. Right? That is not my life. That's not my story. It's no, I will not accept the fact that I do not have a voice. So I had to come to terms with that one. 2, right? I had to do something to counteract that negative, untrue response, right? It's not true. My likes on Facebook, even the likes on YouTube or Instagram or all these social media networks, none of that stuff. It's good things, but in this season, especially with entrepreneurship, that's one of the things you have to make sure you guard yourself against, that you do not allow any of those things to determine your validity. That is not something you should put on your Facebook. Not on your Facebook. That's not something you should put on your resume. You know, I get 500 likes, or I get 25. You know, that's not something that should determine your validity in you stepping out and in what you're doing. So just be very mindful of that. Be very careful. So I had to find something to do to counteract that. And in entrepreneurship, sometimes you have to be very, very, very intentional. You have to be intentional about what you allow into your mind space and what you're putting out of your mind space. And for me, because I am determined in this, I don't have any other option. There's no plan B for me. There's nothing else but success here, right? There's no plan B, because once you step out into that and you say yes to entrepreneurship, it's because you know that the other 9 to 5, you know, whatever people are working, you know that's not for you, right? So there is no turning back. There is no alternative. There is no other option, or else you're not going to be happy. So for me, I had to find something that I could do to really counteract that. So I'm talking to you. So one of the things that I have committed to do to counteract the facts and counteract the lie in my life that I have no voice, one of the things that I've committed to do is every single day, right? And sometimes it may be multiple times a day. Like now, I seem to have a little bit more time. It's quiet in the office. You know, it's a Saturday night, right? Entrepreneurs tend to do different things on Saturday night, right? It's not about all the partying. It's not about all the clubbing. It's not necessarily about, you know, chatting it up all the time. Sometimes you're working on a Saturday night, right? So that's one of the things that I decided to do, and say, wait a minute. This lie that says I have no voice in my industry, this lie that says I have no voice here. I worked at one of the major property management companies here in the area, and I know that I have the expertise. I know that I know what I'm doing. So where's this lie even coming from? So I'm not having it. So what I've committed to do is every single day or multiple times a day, I'm recording some piece of information. I'm dropping some piece of knowledge. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to empty out every single thing that I have in this brain of mine. Every single thing I have in this brain of mine. And I have been thinking about videos for a very, very long time. And it's that fear. It's that, hey, what will people say? And I look at other people's, YouTube videos and Facebook lives. And sometimes they tend to get controversial. You know, all those things. It's like, people make these comments and pick at other people and do all of that. And for me, I'm just not a very confrontational person. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to be involved in that. What if somebody doesn't like me? What if somebody says something about me? All of those things, guys, those comments are going to be with you for a very, very, very long time. And if you are in this to make everybody happy, you might as well get out right now.